Welcome to the Honey Jam podcast. We are your hosts. I am Janice.
I'm Jessica.
And if you're new here, we have been getting a lot of new listeners on YouTube and Spotify and Apple
Really?
Podcasts. Yeah,
Oh,
lots of views. So we welcome you. We're just two best friends talking about the most random things, sharing funny stories. So welcome.
welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Today's topic, Jess,
hmm
is going to be Ibu kick stories, aka funny, embarrassing stories. The origin of Ibu kick actually comes from it's like an imagery of like if you're laying in bed and then all of a sudden you think of something that just happened, like an embarrassing situation, and you're like kicking the blankets because you're so embarrassed by
Yeah.
what happened.
It's like you
That's
can't overcome that overwhelming feeling of feeling so ashamed.
Yes. So hence Ibu kick moment. And Jess and I, we've had our fair share of embarrassing stories, and we have a library full of them. So we want to
hmm
just talk about that today.
Yeah. And maybe you guys would relate and just, get a laugh out of it too.
Yes. And at the end, stick around because we asked our listeners to share some stories, and we got some good submissions. But before we jump into that, Jess, I always like to ask, how was your week?
My week, it's been rough because my son is sick again.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's crazy, right? I feel like he
And
was like maybe okay for a day or two.
yeah.
And then he just started, sniffling again, started coughing again.
And he's not even in daycare.
He's not even in daycare, but we do see a lot of like kids outside like every day, so maybe like
Mm,
that contributes to it.
mm-hmm.
Anyways, he's sick again and
Oh.
um he has like a rash on his
Mm,
neck.
mm-hmm.
We think it's from like his sweating, and because he's like a chubby boy, like he's always going like this, like his neck is just covered all the time.
He's a thick
Uh
boy.
he's a thick boy, so it's just like an endless cycle of
Mm,
just just sickness and rashes and
mm.
teething, just anything you can name.
Just
It's
you look especially young today. I don't know if it's because you put your hair down. You look like a teenage mom today.
not Ihongi.
No, not Yoongi.
Okay, but you uploaded the story about how you look like Paran lion.
If you don't know, please follow us on Honey Jam Pod on Instagram. And yeah, Jess is talking about a story that I uploaded from last week's episode when I talked about
Yes.
how I look like a man, a celebrity, a male celebrity, and Jess too. But yes, go on, Jess.
A lot of people have been responding, being like, whoa, that is spot on. That is uncanny.
Me or you or both?
Both of us. And for some reason, like, I didn't expect that kind of reaction. You know
Oh,
what I mean? Shout out Mike Ryu. He was like, dude,
oh.
this is uncanny. What the? This is spot on. And I was like, Chogyo, excuse me? He's like, you're the one who uploaded it. I was like, the passion of your agreement is what's kind of offending me right now.
Yeah. Wait, Jess. Also, is your light different a little bit?
No, it's not actually. So shout out to my sister-in-law, Rachel.
Oh,
She was looking at our videos and she's like, I bought you a ring light. Set it
dude,
up for your next podcast episode. It came
she's the
today, but I
best.
didn't get a chance to set it up. But thank you, Rachel.
Oh, then next week your light will look different.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah.
But also on Mother's Day,
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, again, who is Jessica's sister-in-law, who
Mm-hmm.
adores and loves and spoils Jess. We're all the same
Mm-hmm.
age. I know Rachel too because we all like work together at CJ.
Yes.
But Rachel is like so like sensitive. So she like on Mother's Day, she sent Jess a nice little Mother's Day package. I thought that was so
Yes.
sweet.
She got me like I forgot what it's called, like the Medic Cube, like the facial thing.
I get ads about
Um,
that all the time.
It's nice. And she got me like
Oh.
the whole skincare set too. So she spoils me. She spoils Hui. She's
Oh.
occasionally good to Josh. Um, but we are her priority and she is the best. We love Rachel
Wow.
Como.
Shout out
Um,
Rachel Como.
it's so funny because she works as just really quick, she works as an ADP, an
Mhm.
administrative business
Business
partner
partner.
at Google. Um, And basically like it's like an executive assistant, so she like
Mhm.
supports the executives at Google.
Mhm.
So you gotta be like, you can imagine, you gotta be like quick on your feet, you gotta be
On top
sensei
of it.
so yes, you gotta be very well aware of like what's going on, organized
Yeah.
on top of it. But it's funny because she's like, she's the type to like always care for people, go out of her way to, you know um just make people feel special.
Yeah.
And she's like, I would say like in Korean, in the Korean term, we say it like very sensitive, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's so funny. She was telling me like a lot of her executives who are like not Korean, they always like are so floored by like her, like what she does. And they're
Yeah.
like, how did you know? Like, I'm so touched. Like, how did
Oh.
you think of that? And in her mind, is she like, to them, she's like, oh, like no problem. Like, of course, like it's no problem. But in her mind, she's like, I grew up Korean and I have nunchi. Wait, well, how was your week, Janice?
Oh, my week was wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
Just full of lovely runner once again. Such a good
To
drama. Such a
Okay,
good drama.
I don't know why everyone's like, oh, it's getting weak. Maybe it's because like the plot is like it's getting
Uh-huh.
tapped a little bit, but I think it's so good still.
It's good every single episode.
The neighborhood unnies who I'm close to here, they're
Uh-huh.
all Kim Soo-yeon-pa. They're all
Uh-huh.
like
Queen of
무조건
Tears.
Queen of Tears, right? They say they think Pyeonseok looks like Big Bird, so they call him Big Bird Man.
He does resemble a
All right, a
tall
little bit. I can
bird.
see it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're like, oh,
Sesame
like
Street.
Kim Soo-yeon over Big Bird Man like all day, and I'm
Oh,
just like,
Big Bird Man.
what? But shout out to Sarah Huang, who is also a
Listener,
faithful listener.
shout out.
Shout out, who is a boy mom. Soon to be
Congrats,
boy mom.
Sarah.
Congrats, Sarah. She's like, dude, are you kidding me? Pyeonseok all the way. She's like, don't get me wrong, Kim Soo-young's cute, but Pyeonseok has that like manliness,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know, man. I think Pyeonseok, he's hot there right now, and
he is. And
dare
you know
I
me,
say,
Jess.
better than Kim Soo-yeon. Yes.
I agree. I agree. And I'm a person, I'm a woman who likes to chase after the popular men.
Yes. Yes. You 무조건, if someone is popular, you just jump on that bandwagon.
Yes. I like the
Yeah.
shiny things in life.
That's just how
But
Janice
anyways.
was like throughout college.
Was
Since I've
I?
ever known her. Yeah. Just
Oh.
if there's a boy who's super popular, could be like, what's going on? Oh, I think I like him too.
Yeah. Like, do I
Yeah.
like him, or is he just popular?
Or is he just tall?
Or is he just tall? But
Yeah.
I would like to clarify these days. So David and I, like, we've been hanging out with a lot of people. Like, we've been just trying to keep ourselves busy,
Mhm.
especially because David's trying to make good use of his time.
Yes.
But we've been meeting a lot of people, recycling a lot of stories. That
Uh-huh.
happens.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then David's, brings out the classic, and we'll bring him on one day as a guest. Same thing as
yes.
Josh too, right?
Uh-huh.
He'll always bring out like how I basically didn't like him until I saw him stand up, and I realized, oh, like he's tall.
Mhm.
And he always tells people like, oh yeah, Janice only liked me because of my height, and it's like, that's not true. Like I liked everything about him. I liked his face. I liked his arms. It wasn't just his height. It was a whole package deal.
I will say though, my brother is very tall. He's 6'2".
Yes.
And he's not like your typical like Hunnam style. He's very nice. He's like a teddy bear and he's tall. But Janice had this weird thing where, I mean, he's a father of 3 now. So I mean,
shout out Omin Oppa.
shout out Omin Oppa. Dr.
Who doesn't
Kwon.
even listen to.
He's our one and only hater of this podcast. He's like, I couldn't listen to it. You guys are freaking cringe. Okay, well, don't listen to it then, bro. But anyways, Janice would always be like, hey, your brother's really tall, Jess. Okay.
Oh my God.
What do you want me to do about it?
Okay, but with Dr. Kwon, well, it was a little different because yes, he was tall, but something about like, because first of all, when I met Jess in college, like we got along so well and I loved her, but like also her family. Your family was just so awesome.
Yeah.
Your brother and sister, so hilarious, but like so cool too.
Yes.
Not but just cool and hilarious. And if I remember in my memory, I remember that and we're going off on a tangent here, but we'll go into
Yes.
it. I remember like when I slept over your house
Uh-huh.
one time, like that's when your parents were here too. And
Mhm.
like I woke up, everyone was like singing and like on an instrument, and it was like so beautiful because my family is not musically talented at all, but you
Uh-huh.
know, to our listeners, you know that Jess sings very well, but she gets that from her mom, her dad, like somebody was playing like the guitar, like your dad I think was like singing in the shower or something, and I was like, wow, this family, I need to somehow get into this family. I need to insert myself into this family somehow. Oh, and Jess has a
Yes.
brother.
Yeah, she would always be like joking, but also a little bit like there was a kernel of truth there.
And Jess would get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. My brother and sister, they love Janice and David, so yeah.
Let's dive into some of our embarrassing stories first.
Okay. Oh yeah, wait, you already introduced what
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I think the first story, let's just keep it light first.
Okay. Yeah.
I love this story, and I make
Uh-huh.
Jess always share it because it's so funny to me.
Which one?
But it's not a personal story, actually. It's regarding your family again.
Oh, okay.
And it's about your cousin, Jono. I just, it's a very short story, but you have to say it.
Okay, I haven't told this story in a while, so I don't want to butcher it. But my cousin, shout out Jonathan and Helen. My cousin is a pharmacist, and I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was talking to a patient over the phone. So he was trying to get like the confirmation number.
Uh-huh.
That's what it was. And the confirmation number had a
Oh.
combination of letters and
Okay.
numbers, right?
Yeah.
So he was getting a confirmation number from the patient. And he's like, okay, like 3H, well, 4 or 5. I don't know,
Yeah.
like a string of letters and numbers. And then he's like, oh, and J. And then Jonathan was like, okay, J as in John. And then the guy was like, no, J as in Jose.
I think it was actually J as in Juan. Juan.
J as in Juan. And then Jonathan was like, oh, okay, so not J as in John, but J as in Juan. Okay, J as in Juan.
And he was like dead serious, this guy.
It was dead serious. Like, he said no to John. You know, like if Jonathan said like, oh, J as in John, then you'd be like, oh yeah, J as in John.
Yeah.
But he said no, J as in Juan.
Actually, I just thought of an embarrassing moment for myself
Oh yes.
while you were saying that. So I don't know if I ever told you this, Jess, but I go to church in LA, and you know, being in LA, the church naturally attracts a lot of like celebrity, like, you know, some smaller celebrities and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so like there was one Sunday where we had like a lunch or something, and so I was helping, like, you know, set up like the drinks and stuff like that. I'm like helping, and then I see somebody. We're all wearing masks at this time because it's during COVID, and I see somebody, shout out David Choi. I'm like, oh, it's David. I'm like, hi, David. I'm just like 아는 척했어. But then I realized it was not David Choi, but it was actually Ki Hong Lee, Maze Runner Ki Hong Lee. But like seriously, when they have a mask on, like they look so similar. They're top. And, then, and like I realized that mid hello, and then
shoot.
he was like he had no idea who I was, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh shoot, sorry, oh sorry, I don't know you, but I mean I do know you. You're Ki Hong Lee. And I was like panicking. I was like, oh, but I do know you. You're Ki Hong Lee. And as I'm saying that, he's just like walking away, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
it would have been embarrassing if I was just like by myself, but thankfully, my church on Nari was there. I turned around and she's like, it's okay. It's okay. And I was like, Nari, it was so embarrassing.
I just thought of something because of like, maybe you could connect this with the Juan one. But then there was one time where in 8th grade, I still remember what grade I was in because it was so scarring and so Iber kick moment that I still think about it to this day, and I Iber kick in my bed. But it was like a science class, and then we were learning about just like diseases and then the symptoms of those diseases, right? And then we had to like basically like answer what kinds of symptoms like each
Oh,
disease like had, right? And then the teacher was like asking the class like, oh, so does anyone know like what are some symptoms of this and that? And then, you know, everyone was answering, and then finally there was like one like symptom that I knew and I remembered reading. So I was like, I rose my hand, and then he was like, okay, like, oh, Jessica, like, can you tell me? I still remember Mr. like Lambert or something. So can you
wow.
tell me like what the symptom is? And I was like, yes. And I was like feeling so confident. And I was like, symptom is fatigue. And he was like,
Oh, so cute.
oh, fatigue? I was like, yes, fatigue.
Oh my god, fatigue. That story reminds me of my
Yes.
embarrassing story that I forgot about because I hate that story so much because it's so
You have to share that.
embarrassing.
You have to share it.
I
But
was like,
anyways,
why
my
does this
fatigue
story?
moment.
Yeah, your fatigue moment is bringing back like memories for me.
The UCLA class,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
Jess's story was in eighth grade, and my story happened at UCLA when in my psychology class. At UCLA, the classes are humongous, so then you have like
Yeah.
the smaller, like I forgot what it's called with the TAs, and you're
Yeah,
discussing
yeah.
like what you talked about in class and stuff like
The
that. So
discussions, yeah.
yeah, the discussions,
Uh-huh.
discussions.
Uh-huh.
So Danielle, shout Danielle, and I were both psychology majors, and we were taking this class together. It was like junior year, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna be that shy Asian girl in class anymore. You know, I'm
Mhm.
gonna show up at this discussion, and I'm gonna show these people what's up. You know, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be
That's
my
right.
confident self
Mhm.
because all these years I was just like I'll be, hiding in the corner, you know. But this year's gonna be a little different.
Yeah.
So I was like, Danielle, watch this, okay? Just watch and learn. TA like makes us go introduce ourselves like one by one.
Yes.
And so I'm like, hello everybody, my name is Janice. Nice to meet you. Really excited for the year, everybody. Like I was just exuding confidence. I was like, dude, I
Yes.
got it in the bag,
In your
like
pagan voice, in your white people
yes.
voice. Yeah.
Yes, like you have a Korean voice and you have a white
Yes.
tone. I
We
brought that
code
out.
switch a little bit. That's us as minorities. It's
Yeah,
inevitable. Yeah.
you have to.
Yeah.
And so I felt really good. And then, after introductions, we went into like the first lecture. And so the first question the TA asked was like, who can tell me what pseudoscience is? And I just looked away because I didn't know what that was. Like, and so I don't know if
Wait,
because I
after
looked,
you exuded all that confidence, you just
yes,
immediately just went back to your shy
shriveled away.
Asian self.
Yeah, because I didn't know the answer. If I knew the answer, I would have been like, I would have looked right at the TA, but I,
Yes.
I avoided eye contact. But I don't know if it was because I moved away, like I avoided him. He called on me. He goes, Janice, like, can you tell me what pseudoscience is? And I'm like, oh, actually, I didn't I didn't attend class last week, but I will be listening to the recording. So yeah. That's it. And I try to like, make him choose someone. I say, okay, but like, what does pseudoscience mean?
Like,
And
what
I'm
does
like,
pseudo mean?
yeah,
What
what
does
does
pseudo?
pseudo mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I actually have no idea. He's like, oh, you don't know what pseudo means? And then this international girl on the side, Asian girl, she goes, it means fake. So then the rest of the year, I just went back to being the quiet Asian girl. When that was happening, I could see in my peripheral, Danielle was just dying in the corner. Like she's so dumb.
I want to share this story, but I guess this is cringy for me and Danielle looking back
Oh,
on that time. But we were both in so this is our freshman year in college, and we were both in a class called music and film. And basically what we had to do was we had to pick like maybe like 6 minutes of like a music score from a movie, and we had to analyze it and write an essay on like what that music score like basically portrays in the
I
movie,
remember
right?
that too.
Yeah, and I did it on Memoirs of Geisha. And it's like that transformation scene when she's like
Mm,
training to be a geisha, and I would be like, oh, like the drum beats like is like an anticipation of like what is to come, and like my
whoa.
BS like English major,
It's a skill.
essay, yeah, skills had to come out there. But then I remember like I got like a pretty decent score. I think I got like maybe like a, I don't know, like a B plus or A minus, you know? And I wrote it like pretty last minute, so I was really happy about like that the grade I got. And then
Yeah.
I went up to Danielle because I knew her from KCM. We weren't too close back then, but I still knew her face and I just kind of wanted
Mm.
to like share my joy and also like ask her what she got, right? So
Yeah.
then I was like, "Hey Danielle, what'd you get on your essay?" And she's like, 98, and then she walked away from me.
So cold.
And I was just like, just standing there, like in my shame.
But in Danielle's defense, she like kind of because you guys weren't close, she
Yeah.
saw it as like, why is this girl being a little nosy? Like, why
Yeah.
does she care about my grade?
Why is she being nosy? And like the only reason why someone would ask why what grade you got is because they want to brag about theirs.
Uh,
I mean, I guess like I guess I wanted to share, but I was just genuinely curious what she got, right? 근데 너무 더 웃긴 거는 like I was really proud of my like B plus A minus score, but she got such like she got almost like 100 on her essay. But the fact that she shared so coldly is so funny to
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Like she could
98.
have just been like, "Oh, 98," you know, and I'm like, "Wow, Dan, like you know, that's the kind of reaction I envisioned, you
Uh
know?
huh. Uh huh.
Like she got a good score, I got a good score. Hey, yes,
Yeah.
we did it. High five is what I
Yeah.
imagined.
Like both win.
Yes. But then it was quickly the opposite. 98,
Just
walk away.
oh.
And then I have the anime like sweat mark in my
She hates that story because she was like, I was not that cold.
You have to share your story about Danielle, what she did to you, and or what? Oh, actually, no, it's what you did to Danielle that you don't remember.
I have no idea. Apparently, I ignored her when she said hi to me, which I would never do.
That does
So
not
I don't
sound
know what
like
she's
you.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I mean
I
Danielle is pretty adamant that you did that, though.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I believe her. Maybe I didn't hear her. You know, I could see that being a possibility.
She said
But
you looked at her and then you just like walked away.
yeah, there's no way.
I'm too kind. I'm too nice. There's no way. I wanted to share about my airplane poop story. I was on my way from Korea to Japan with my family because we were like on we're going on a trip. And
Yeah.
then if you guys know, from Korea to Japan, it's like a very short plane ride. And I was in there like sitting next to my sister and my hyungbu. And then obviously like my parents were nearby too. But then I had such a good time. I was like, you know, watching a movie. I was eating lots of snacks. And then 신호가 왔어. Like there was a little bit of a signal in my stomach. And I was like, oh, there's my, you know, sign to poop. Perfect, because usually when I'm traveling, I can't poop that well,
Oh,
right?
uh-huh.
So I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, this is perfect. Like I'll empty out my stomach. And then in Japan, I'm going to pig out and like have the best time, right? So then I checked the time and there's maybe like an hour left of the plane ride. So I was like, oh, you know, I'm a fast pooper. This might be TMI, but like I poop super fast. Do you remember,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Janice? Like even when we were like rooming together, if like I have that signal, I go
Uh-huh.
in and I poop like in a minute or two and then I
Yeah,
come out.
just quick dropping off of the kids.
Yes. But I don't know, like I guess it's a thing that like guys, like husbands take like so long on the
Yeah.
toilet.
40
Like it's
minutes
just
minimum.
that is insane to me. Wait,
Uh,
David takes that long?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, David, how what about like your like the blood? It's not circulating.
Yeah.
And he says he just goes just stands up for a second and sits right back down.
Josh too, like he takes such a long time pooping, but I guess that's
Uh-huh.
like the norm amongst guys, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But for me, it's like quick droppage. So I was like feeling very confident because that, you know, that signal came and I was like, all
Yeah.
right, quick, you know, quick droppage and I'll be back in my seat. I go to the bathroom in the airplane. And
Uh-huh.
then it's like one of those poos where you're like deceived. You're like, oh shoot, like actually it's kind of like taktakke, right? And I gotta put in a little bit more of an effort. I'm trying my best to like push it out. That one champagne pop, right? But it's not coming out. And I'm like, okay, I just maybe I just gotta try later. But I'm like, you know, like where you have like those moments where like, should I give up? Should I just push it back in?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like should I keep going? I was having those moments like multiple times. Like I feel like I'm almost there. I think I could do it. And like in my mind, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes passed.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden I hear an announcement. We're gonna
Oh
be
no.
landing in a minute. Please buckle your seatbelts. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
what? So in my mind, only 10, 15 minutes pass. But
Oh my
actually,
gosh.
an hour passed. I was having that battle for an hour. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And like, right when I was about to like, just like try to push it back in and like, gather myself and go back to my seat, the
Uh,
plane starts landing.
oh my
It's like
gosh.
shaking and I'm
Descending.
literally, it's descending and my ass is literally lifting off of the toilet. I'm not, dude, this is like 100% like no
Wow.
joke,
Yeah.
100% reality. I was like grabbing onto the handle and I was jumping. I was jumping off of my butt. And I'm just like
Oh my
holding
gosh.
on for dear life that I don't
Oh.
die in this bathroom on my way to Japan.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then and then thankfully it lands and I'm just sitting there for like a good 30 seconds like, did that really just happen? And what's crazy is my poop came out.
Like when it landed?
When it landed, my poop came out because I was
Wow.
like so like panicked,
Uh-huh.
that I guess
Yeah.
my body like it was like so stressed and then once like it landed and I knew I was safe, it released everything.
Wow.
And then I wiped and then I come out and then the stewardess is right there because usually the bathrooms are like in
Yeah.
that like in the hallway like in the
Yeah.
middle, right? And she's like, "Omo!" It was a Korean air stewardess. "Omo no!" Because she's so shocked that someone was in there during
Oh
landing.
my gosh. I have a story where I have to give a little bit of a background.
Yes, background information.
So like my family is just me and my little sister, so two girls in the family, and my mom always like raised us like princesses. Even though I don't act like a princess now, she's always like had that desire to, raise us as like girly girl princesses, and she would always call us like, 공주 and like kaji, like puppy, baby, things like that. So growing up as little girls, my mom like, she would wash us, and she would call the woman's like the girl's private part 보석 in Korean,
A
which is
jewel.
a jewel, like precious jewel, literally jewel. And so I grew up thinking like the scientific word, like the word for the vagina was jewel.
Like
보석,
in Korean.
in Korean.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the actual scientific term was. Up until like college. No, okay, maybe not college. Like high school, I realized, oh, okay, that's not the actual term. And I learned the scientific term. But at that point, like, I grew up with this word 보석 being like a private part. So like in my mind, that's like ingrained. So then I was like at a party.
I was with you during that time, Jess.
Yeah, Jess, you were there. We
Yeah.
were at Alisoni's house for a
Yes.
party.
Yeah.
And she invited a bunch of people. This guy is like introducing himself. He's like, oh, hi, like, 제 이름은 김보석이에요. And I was like,
We looked at each other. So I already knew that because you would always refer to yours as 보석. So I had that background information as well. It was funnier because he was very embarrassed to share his name. I don't know if you remember, Janice.
I do remember that.
It's like we were introducing ourselves and he was like, "Oh, 제 이름 말하기 싫어요." We're like, "Why?
Yeah.
Why?"
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like,
that's what
"No, you guys are gonna laugh at my name."
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
"No,
yeah.
I don't want to share my name because it is kind of like girly, right? It's like a jewel and it's like
Yeah.
for a guy and he looked very like manly.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, I don't want to share. We're like, no, tell us. It's fine. Like, we won't laugh.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? This is why delivery is so important. Delivery in a story. Okay, go on.
He's like, dude, we won't, like, it's fine. Like, tell us. And he's like, okay, my name is Kim Bo-seok. We're like, we just look at each other. We're like,
I was like, your name is 보석?
like, he already shared that he's like insecure about his name. And he honestly doesn't even know why we're laughing.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
intent behind our laughter.
Exactly.
He just thinks we're like literally laughing because his name is 보석.
Yeah. And I think he did get a lot of like he got made fun of a lot because it's such a unique name. Like
Yes.
and it's a guy
Yeah.
named like Jewel, like Gem is
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
But we were laughing for different reasons.
Yes. And he was like, dude, I told you I wouldn't tell you guys.
I knew. It's a beautiful name.
Yeah, we're like,
beautiful
we
name.
love it. We love it. It's just we can't tell you why we're laughing, but we love it. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry we're laughing. Yeah.
So to me it was like, oh, his name is private part.
Hi, I'm vagina. That's what he was saying, essentially.
All right, we are going to turn to our messages, our
Yes.
listeners.
I'm so excited.
we have a few. Okay, I'll read Taeyang's story.
Okay.
So basically, this was during the thick of COVID. People got really sensitive. If you got too close, if you didn't wear a mask, casually sneezed. I mean, the list goes on. Times were strange. This is exactly what she wrote. Okay. I was at Costco and I run into my ex. And we ended on good terms. So I was actually pleasantly surprised to see him after so long. He was with two other people, one being his girlfriend at the time. And I was overbearingly friendly because I mean, it's an awkward situation nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided it would be a good idea to stick out my hand. And I was like, oh my gosh, hi, nice to meet you. And she legit stuck her hand out like she was about to touch mold or rotten cheese and was like, hi. And I'm like, hi, I've heard such great things. When, like, in reality, no, I didn't. This was literally the first time I was seeing him after so many years, her ex. I only saw her in his stories. And she's like, oh. And I nervously laughed and was like, well, it was good to meet you. I have to go. Good seeing you. I legit want to get the F out of there because I realized, one, I shouldn't have touched her hand. And two, I shouldn't have word vomited an absolute lie about hearing good things about her. Facepalm.
Thank you for sharing, Say. That is
Thank you, Say.
definitely an Ibru kick moment. But congrats. Our Say is engaged.
Engaged.
So forget about it. Forget about the past.
Can you imagine running into your ex and like
hell no
with your ex's girlfriend? Just run away.
I would literally run away. Like I'm actually surprised that Say even like approached them.
Yeah.
Like, that's like some confidence right there. Because for me, if I saw my ex from afar, I would just run the other way. I don't know what you would do, Janice.
Well, I actually talk to my ex all the time.
What do you mean?
Not all the time, but we have a lot of mutual friends. It was this is a story. This is a story to share. We have a lot of mutual friends. Well, David, my husband, has a lot of mutual friends with my ex-boyfriend. And there was a point where I could tell that we were kind of avoiding each other in like, social gatherings.
Yeah.
And when we were both invited, like he wouldn't come out if I was there, or like, if I couldn't go, I'm sure he was there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, dude, we're both like happily married. And this was such a, we dated such a long time ago, but like, I think we just didn't have an opportunity to like break the ice.
Yeah.
Until shout out Tim, David's best friend, had a birthday party and he like wanted to invite everybody. And then he was like, dude, like, just come out. Who cares? And Dave was like, yeah, dude, just tell him to come out, and David's like super chill about it. And then like Wasel, he came to the party and that was the first time like we saw each other in like years.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't break up on a bad note or anything, but like, it was just awkward. And yeah. So like, it was like when we saw each other, I was like, hi, they're trying to keep it cool and stuff like that. And then David, he goes, hey, come over here, you two. And he makes us take a group photo. I'm in the middle, my ex and David in one group photo.
Was David drinking?
He wasn't drunk though. He wasn't drunk. He was just like, you know what? Let's break the ice finally. This has to happen.
He was just being a troll.
I think he was.
Yeah.
But also like because like they have so many mutual friends.
Yeah, just
like,
to break the ice. Yeah,
let's get over it.
Yeah,
and then it did break the ice. And like now, I saw him again recently. He has like a baby. Yeah. At Tim and Patty Maddie's tour.
Oh.
And like he was like carrying his baby.
Oh, dude, that's crazy.
So I'm on good terms.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad that happened, I feel like that definitely had happened.
And like it's funny because actually Jess,
yes,
what your ex is also in close vicinity.
Yes, so I haven't seen or talked to my ex like since we broke up. Like we're in completely different circles and like there's like no reason for me to like run into him. Yeah, but recently our very good friend Ellen has been getting close with like his friends. So
That friend group.
naturally, yeah, that friend group. So naturally, like they start hanging out, and they're just like hanging out more regularly than me and Ellen, you know?
That's true. That's
So
true.
like it's so funny because I see her stories and like the stories that she like posts with her that friend group, and I'm like always commenting because like Ellen always looks fabulous. She's like such a fashionista, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh Ellen, you look so good, you look so good. And then I'm like going to the next story, and then his face comes on. I'm like, oh 깜짝이야. She thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
It is funny. I mean, we're all adults. Like we're all married, and we moved
He's
on.
not.
But
It's what it
funny.
is.
It is what it is. Yeah. All right,
I'm
moving
sure.
on.
All right, moving on. Okay.
So this is from Priscilla Kim, right? Shout out Priscilla Kim.
West Oma.
Wes Amma, Cody Amma. I wish I had a better story, but I really don't remember that many. The only one I can think of is when I was dating Jason. It was summertime and it was hot. I was at his parents' house in La Mirada. His parents never used the AC, so his
Oh
house
no.
was pretty much a sauna. I pooped my intestines out. I was so relieved to have pooped, but there was no air freshener, and
Oh, no.
the window in the bathroom was too high for me to reach. I panicked a bit. But had no choice but to leave the bathroom. To my horror, when I opened the door to leave, the diarrhea smell had already traveled all the way to the kitchen where Jason's mom was hosting this super cute ladies' luncheon.
Oh
I was absolutely
어떡해.
I was absolutely horrified when I passed Jason's mom on my way out, and she was holding a Febreze and walking
my
to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
She
Oh
was
my
holding a
gosh.
Febreze.
That is terrible.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Where Jason's mom was hosting the super cute ladies' luncheon.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I
Wow.
hope you guys heard what I read. Priscilla, thank you so much for sending in that
Wow.
story. That gave me I cried listening or reading that story.
Dude, that's crazy.
But that is so so relatable. I don't know if you've ever had this moment, Janice, where like you have
Of
to
course.
poo or like diarrhea specifically, like where your stomach is like twisting and turning, and it's like you
Yeah.
have to go in that moment. Because I feel like poops you can kind of hold it in, but
Yeah.
diarrhea you can't. It's just impossible to hold it in. But there was a time where I was at a cafe, and this was when I was dating Josh, like in the beginning, and it was like maybe like a few months into our like official dating relationship. And then we're at a cafe together, and I had like that, I had to diarrhea like really badly. Like it was hurting. And so I was like, okay, I was like kind of like waiting to see if he would go to the bathroom just in case, like,
Time it.
I could time it so that he goes and then he doesn't have to ever go to the bathroom again. Cause it was just one bathroom.
Oh.
It was one
Uh-huh.
bathroom, like it was like a small cafe in Cerritos, and it was
Mhm.
just like one bathroom where it's just one toilet, one sink. You know what I mean? There was
Yeah.
no, it wasn't separated.
It's the
So
worst.
it's the worst. So I was waiting and waiting. He's like, okay, I don't think he's gonna go to the bathroom, and I was like dying. So I went in and I like dropped a deuce, but it was like 진짜 like the stench was like deadly. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel bad for the next person who comes in. And then I come out and Josh is waiting. He's waiting already
Aw.
outside of the bathroom. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm going to use the bathroom. And I was like, oh,
Like now?
now? Do you have to? And he's like, oh, yeah. Can I go? And I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to act all cool, and I walk back to my seat. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I didn't wait. Why did he wait until the end to go to the bathroom?
My
My
He's gonna
gosh.
smell my horse Gosh.
Well, he still loved you for
Yeah.
who you are.
But I will say, Josh is he doesn't have a good sense of smell. So I feel
Really?
like, so I feel like he
Then
doesn't.
how come he's always telling me I smell?
He's
I
just
smell.
trolling you. He's just trolling you because you react so
doesn't?
crazy. No, he doesn't. He doesn't
shocked.
smell that well.
That's good to
Anyways.
know, actually.
Oh, that was so funny. Oh. Jane also submitted a story. This happened right when I finished nursing school. I was applying for nursing jobs as a new graduate. I obviously applied to my dream hospital, UCLA. I got scheduled an interview for the neurological telemetry unit. Telemetry? What is this?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's really
Telemetry.
Ebert kick moment. We don't know how to say this word. I was really nervous
Uh-huh.
because UCLA is a prestigious hospital and I wanted to leave a really good impression. So the day before the interview, I even took the time to meet with the manager just to show face and introduce myself, old fashioned. Then the day of the interview comes. We started off the interview well. The vibes were immaculate, or at least I thought. The first couple questions he asked me, I had already anticipated. Then he asked, "Tell me a time where you're in a situation with a patient and you had to use your critical thinking skills." I was prepared for this answer as well because it's one of the most common nursing interview questions.
Oh.
As I was explaining my answer, I said something along the lines of, the patient had lost his index finger and was bleeding profusely. I was doing well, but in that split second, I questioned the way I said profusely. For some reason, it sounded incorrect. So I had immediately corrected myself, saying, I mean, his finger was bleeding profusely. We finished the interview, and he even gave me a tour. His finger was bleeding profusely. Profusely. We finished the interview and he even gave me a tour around the unit, which were positive signs. I was confident I got the position. A few weeks later, I got a rejection email saying I didn't get the job. I googled the word profusely and learned that that wasn't an actual word and that I had used the word correctly the first time. Always go with your first instinct and your gut feeling. Hashtag Valley Girl.
Wow, that's a great story.
That is a great story. That reminds me of my fatigue story, Jane. So
Actually, on the note of like, not knowing words, mispronouncing things, we got a message. I got a message from someone we knew back in college, our Hube from UCLA. So I think she was a year or I think 2 years younger than us. And it was a very sweet message. And she sent us a story and I already read it. I want to save this for last. So she says, her name is Grace. Shout out Grace. She's younger than us, but she has a baby your age, or who's age too.
Oh, Grace.
So she says, hello, J&J 선배님들. This message is going to be long, and I'm not funny as both of you are, so I apologize beforehand if I put both of you to sleep reading this. Not sure if one of you still remembers me from UCLA KCM, but I now identify as a Honey Jam podcast fan, as well as a fellow mother of a 1-year-old son, like Jess.
So
Just want to thank you both for starting this journey, as I can only assume how much you both need to invest to make one episode for each week in your busy schedules. It's true. Thank you, Grace.
Aw, thanks, Grace.
I don't know how much my words can express the amount of joy I have been experiencing listening to your podcast on my 1-hour commute from work to picking up my son at daycare. I turn on Apple Podcasts as soon as I end work. And she's working as a therapist, so it can be emotionally, mentally difficult at times, she says. So she listens to it as a form of self-care, and I catch myself in nostalgia thinking back to college days through your stories and see myself laughing, smiling while driving on the freeway. People might actually think I'm crazy. But to continue, my son always dances to the intro music, which is also super cute. So nice intro music choice. Yeah. So she says, now I know you guys asked for stories, and I don't really have funny, entertaining stories like you both, but I want to share the memories that came up. Throwback to a long time ago when I was a freshman and you were both seniors. Oh, okay. So she's a lot, I think, yeah, maybe 3 years younger. She said, I attended freshman FA, which is like, where freshmen get together and like discuss. And Jess was there as a leading member. I remember thinking, wow, that 선배님 is so pretty with huge eyes and a pretty smile. We took a picture of the girls who attended that night. Picture was uploaded on Facebook and we were individually tagged. Okay. She has 2 stories. This is the first one. And my grandpa commented on there saying, my granddaughter, 우리 손녀가 제일 이뻐. My granddaughter's the prettiest. And I remember I was super embarrassed being a freshman and I worried what my first impression would be. But looking back now, it was nothing.
Was that the story?
So that's the first
Oh
story.
my
That's the first
gosh,
story.
that's so funny. That's so
And
cute.
that's so cute.
Super cute.
And then she sent me a picture of the message, and her grandpa like literally commented, "우리 소녀딸이 제일 이뻐," when
Aw,
everybody is tagged in that group photo.
귀여워.
Yeah, it's not very embarrassing. It's a cute
Very
story,
cute
you know.
story, but in the moment I could imagine like panicking, like
Yeah, you know, she's trying to look good in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next story. Okay, she said, in my freshman year, we had a hiking day with senior 남자 선배님s. And I remember I was placed in the same group with Jeong. We went around asking we went around asking questions to get to know each other. And the question was, what do you think your best attribute of yourself is? Like your physical attribute. And I remember I said cleavage very confidently. She said cleavage. And shout out to Jeong 선배님. He responded so nicely, I didn't even know I made a mistake there. Later on, back in my dorm, I had a strange feeling. So I Googled 쇄골뼈 in English. And she said, I came to LA when I was 5 too. So I'm actually comfortable speaking Korean more at times. And it was clavicle, not cleavage. I wanted to go hide at that moment. I apologize to June on Facebook, but it was so embarrassing.
Oh my god. Wow. That is a great story.
Dude, I read this when I woke up and I was crying in bed because I was like laughing so hard.
Dude, that is a great Eber kick moment. Wow, what a way to end our episode. Grace, thank you so much. I mean, you kept mentioning like you don't have funny stories. That is literally the funniest story I've ever heard. That is on par with Priscilla's. Priscilla started off strong, so I was like, nothing can top this. But wow, cleavage, clavicle, and then the fact that it was June.
Yeah,
I can imagine June responding like, "Oh, okay, like."
I like the confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just funny because Grace is like, she has a very like innocent, like 착한, very pure face.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm very confident about my cleavage.
와, 진짜 좋아.
Thank you, Grace. And thank you everyone for submitting your stories.
Seriously, thank you guys. Hey, I like this. I like these submissions. I think we should do it more often.
Yeah, let's open up the messenger bag.
Yes, I think we should. The mailbag. Yeah.
Is that what the what you call it? The
Shim and Shin?
Yeah, Shim and Shin used to call it?
I don't know.
The living room pod.
Pod. They have their mailbag. I mean, even off the pulpit, they call it their mailbag. But you know,
I've been hearing a little bit of some whispers that the living room pod is going to come back, huh?
Hey, Dichon, if you're listening to this, you better be scared. Hey, we're coming after you. Coming after you guys.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Please remember to rate us, give us a 5-star ranking, 5-star review, and follow us on Instagram at honeyjampod. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye, guys.